Hello everyone, welcome to 9 Lives Racing. Today we're going to be going over wheel flares. We're going to run them through CFD. We're going to show you guys what the market is providing us out there, and then if there are benefits to be had, then we'll go through that. And this entire video process is going to be showing us how we are going to make some wheel flares for motorsports. The current problem that we have right now is that our race car, this Miata, you kind of see in the background over here, kind of flipping around, is a real life car. We are cutting tires. We've gone to a 275, which is a pretty big tire, and we are planning on going bigger, but right now we're cutting tires on the stock fenders. We got them pulled as much as we can, and that's causing a bunch of drama with like headlights fitting, right? Getting the headlights to fit. There's now a gap because we pulled the fenders so much, so we need to push the fenders back in and get the headlights fitting good, and then add some over fenders. Now, what over fenders are, it's usually some fiberglass, composite, or plastic, kind of this little extension of the wheel flare, and it just kind of moves it out a little bit. And today we're going to be going over just the basics of what like a basic wheel flare does to your air, what it does to your car, and then seeing if there's any improvements to be made, and follow along in this process because we're going to be keep doing probably 10, 11, 12 iterations of different kinds of wheel flares, and then when we find the one that we're going to run with, when we find the one that we like the most, we're going to build it, and then you'll follow along on the the tubes and get yourself acquainted with how we build stuff. So but just starting off, I'm going to make myself small, do that, alright. And this is the car we got. I'm going to flip over to the other side, and you can kind of see here, it's a pretty wild looking car, the long nose and the big wings, stuff like that. And what we really want to do is focus on this thing is try to reduce adding any drag, because drag's our biggest benefit, is that we don't have a lot. Our drag numbers on this car are so low that it only makes 400 horsepower, and you really need 800 horsepower to compete with us, just if you've got a bigger car. So we want to keep our drag number is very important that we keep low. Also, downforce is hard to find because we don't have a lot of square footage. You got a Corvette or something like that, almost easy to do. Big car, lots of square footage, you can play with it. This car, not a lot, so we got to really work on it. What we got going on here is our wheels are exposed, and this is how we've done our CFD in the past. With the wheels sticking out, things like that. We do have a wicker along the leading edge, and that does keep the air off the tires pretty well. And then this is what we've come up with for our first test. This is I call it a generic wheel flare. It's kind of like what you're going to find on a typical car, typical offering from, say, I don't know, one of these companies out there. There's a bunch out there that make it. The problems that we're having with these is that we don't necessarily think that they're made for motorsports. We know that they're made for, drifting and looking cool and car shows, stuff like that, which doesn't help us at all. So we're going to run these guys through our test, and our first test was just this. It's just a generic wheel flare, so it covers the tire, probably a little bit extra. You kind of see this is the tire line right here, so we got an extra inch of it being covered up there. We have very straight lines that come off of it. There's a flange that comes off the wheel barrel that's about 1.5 inches, and then it just goes to a straight generic taper straight to the body, and then to another flange that we're adding on, and that is actual correct thickness, because we want to see if we added a flange, if it would cause any aerodynamic disturbance. At that point you're kind of looking at something that would need a like we're going to put rivets there or bolts. if we made it thick enough, we want to know if that thickness, that little flap, is going to disturb the air going over the splitters or whatever. So we just want to verify that. Alright, so that's the front. Sorry, getting over a cold, so I have to drink a little water to stop myself from coughing. Then on the back, we have this flare. Same style, stops very abruptly in the back, goes down to the bumper, same story as the front, you know, pretty generic stuff. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the software that we use is called TotalSim. They are a CFD service that is used by IndyCar, NASCAR, and really the big names in the business. So the information coming off of this is second to none. You know, on an average week, they're getting thousands of runs, so they're really getting their feet held to the fire a lot more than any club racer can do. So we're just going to piggyback on that and get the really good data off of them. And this is run 1, as you can see here. And this run 1 is without the wheel flares. So you can see the wheel flares are not there at all. And I'm going to jump to run 1 for the numbers. So the downforce on our car is right here. It's 1,300 pounds of downforce. This is all tested at 150. Our front downforce is 532 and our rear downforce is 829. So it's a little bit heavily biased to the rear. Car's real short wheelbase, not a bad thing to have a little bit of rear bias. Just keep it steady at really high speeds because then this thing will hit 160. The drag number is 589. Kind of on par for you know, downforce car. So yeah, we want to try to make that number not any bigger, and then we can jump back over to our images here. These are our drag numbers. Actually, I don't like that. Compare this one. That's what I like. So yes, you got it. I'll do that. So this is what we got. It's a you know, we're kind of looking at this. It's a what we call our X drag or lift. So basically what we have is drag and thrust. So if you're getting red is your drag, blue is our thrust. So this can be kind of a new concept for a lot of people. So drag is of course the force of the air pushing against your car, slowing it down. Thrust is the opposite of that. So it's the force of the air that actually pulls you forward into the air more. And you can see here, you know, on the front of the car, you get a lot of big old bunch of red. And on the top of the car is, of course, blue. This is our thrust, getting us pulled forward. The wings pulling us back. Wheels are pulling us forward, and hood vents pulling us forward. Kind of interesting concept to let people wrap their heads around. You can kind of see on the tire, it's getting a lot of thrust, that kind of things. Then we're going to go to downforce. So this is Z. So this is top down. And you'll notice the bottom of the car is where all the downforce is made. You know, bottom of the wing, bottom of the splitter, a splitter over here, bottom of the diffuser over here. In the corners of the wheel well, you know, that's making a little bit of downforce there as well. And yeah, it's just kind of the first run. It's giving us a well-rounded idea of what we're working with. And then we're going to jump into, now we're going to start comparing it with run 2. So on this program, I can kind of just flip between 1 and 2, just like that. And that'll show us with or without the wheel flares. But I will do to, I want to run into 2, and I want to compare our, compare runs. There we go. So I want to compare our downforce. So this is adding those wheel flares on there. Let me kind of bump this up a little bit. So onto our wheel flares, we get a bunch of numbers. What's looking good for the layman's terms. Right here, front downforce. It picked up with the wheel flares. So we actually picked up a decent amount of front downforce on it, which is something we've been looking for in the car. And so that's nice. Rear downforce picked up a little bit, a wee little bit. Let's go to our drag. Picked up a decent amount. So if I go over here, so we went from 589 to 625. So we did pick up a nice little, a lot of drag, more than I wanted to pick up. So here, so you see here we picked up 36 pounds of drag. Front downforce picked up good. You know, the negative number means we're adding more down. If it was a positive number, that means it'd be lift. So we'd be pulling it off the ground. front downforce picked up, a decent in the front, and then rear almost, I would call that unchanged. Okay, so let's compare it. Let's see what's going on. Why do we pick up so much front downforce? So we're going to run 1 and 2. So since let's take a peek at the drag and see what we got going on here. So we can kind of see flipping between 1 and 2. Actually, we picked up a decent amount of thrust on these wheel flares, at least from the front. So this leading edge is telling me don't mess with it too much. It did pick up this red hot spot right here. So we're going to want to go into the leading edges of this and kind of smooth it out. Make it a bit more gradual transition into that wheel flare, just to get rid of these hot spots, and they'll knock off some drag right there. And the best part is we can kind of, let me flip back and forth for you so you can kind of see we're getting some hot spots there, right about there along the leading edge of the wheel wickers, and that was causing a bunch of thrust on the tire. So, then we can kind of flip back and forth here. We still get that hot spot that now we can cool off, because now we're getting a bunch of thrust in the wheel flare. You can kind of see how it affects between the rest of the car. Kind of see boom, 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 boom. Looking at the windshield, that little bit of green is changing shape, that kind of stuff. So that's all from the wheel flares. Let's push it on back to the sides. Here, I like this one. And so, kind of give us a really good view of the drag. We got a nice little bit of thrust out here on the outside edge, and then a bunch of thrust up in here as well. So so that's the drag going on. I want to look at the back to really see the effect on the drag. So I think this is where most of our drag is coming from here. So if we're going to flip through these, you see this. You got the green on the tire, but now you got a bunch of green on the body, and you're getting a hot spot growing right there. So it kind of does one of those things so that you're getting some hot spots growing, and you can kind of see the hot spots grow on the back wing. Behind the spoiler as well is growing pretty big. So that's telling me that we got some drag in these wheel flares on the back, on the back side, just from the air coming around, grabbing the back of the wheel flare and saying, nope, hold on to you, and then that's making some drag. So we got some areas to improve there. But let's look at the downforce. Let's jump to CPZ, and this is the fun one to flip through. So let's see if I can should be able to do a hotkey here. So this is run 1 without the wheel flares, and when we hit wheel 2, boom, look at the splitter. I'm going to make myself smaller because look at the splitter. It is getting big on it. Look at the splitter do its thing. So boom, I'm going to flip through. Run 1, no wheel flares. Run 2, look at all that blue. Look how much blue grew on that splitter. We're getting this like no man's land of not doing anything right here. But before that, it was way bigger. So splitter's picking up. Splitter likes the wheel flares. It really does. See, even on the floor here, it's getting more air pulled out from underneath the car. It means this air speeding up. It means we're making good downforce. And even on the rear diffuser, you can see the rear diffuser picks up a little bit in the back. Let me flip back and forth. See how it's like it picks up. Boom, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like the diffuser likes it. It really does. Like the splitter really likes it. The diffuser also likes it. I think there's more to be had on that diffuser by messing with this. So we can kind of flip through. Look at the top. Now the blue is downforce, and then the green is lift. So that means it's getting pulled up off the ground. So we do run 1 here, no wheel flares. 2, you see the lift increases on top of the car. 2, let's check this little area here right behind that wheel well. 2, and boom, now we're getting some green on top of that wheel flare. So that wheel flare is actually getting pulled up and off the ground. So that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up now. This is the first step. I'm gonna come back through and show you guys how the revisions I've made to, in these wheel flares to, we were seeing some lift in this area. We wanted to extend these guys out a little bit, and we needed to start messing with this area in order to get more air out, so that way the diffuser can work better. So that's kind of the fun thing, right? So now we know what's affecting the diffuser, we know what's affecting the splitter. Now we can start messing with it. So now we got this all down. Check back here in a little bit, and we'll make part 2. So appreciate you guys. Thank you.